Namaskar. Welcome to Vision of Asia, Voice of the Community. This Sunday on ITV Gold, we are happy to have you with us, and we begin with the main stories of this special edition of Vision of Asia. Glimpses from a meeting organized by inspiring South Asian American women. We will have this week with Padma Shri Dr. Sudhir Parikh, glimpses from 2020 AAPI mini convention, and Sadhguru kicks off mystical road trip through USA. We will also have part of a briefing on state of refugee, resettlement and asylum in USA. So all this coming up right after these short messages. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're watching Vision of Asia, Voice of the Community. Inspiration is important, and inspiring South Asian American women is an important organization which is not only inspiring women but also inspiring the whole community, as these women with their heart at the right place looks at what is happening to us due to COVID. And they also talked about COVID-19 in South Asian community. Here are some highlights from that gathering on Zoom.
Hello, good evening everyone, and welcome to today's session. My name is Suchitra Kamath and I'm the president of Inspiring South Asian American Women, also called ISAAW. ISAAW was founded in 2017 to create a platform for South Asian American women interested in greater civic engagement. At ISAAW, we are driven by a single mission to empower South Asian American women. As part of our mission, we strive to increase awareness on issues impacting the South Asian American community, especially women. We help mobilize South Asian American women to increase their involvement in public service. And at the end of the day, diverse voices only strengthen democracy.
Heather, can you tell our listeners what this COVID period has been like for you as a doctor, an OBGYN, right on the front lines?
So, thank you firstly to ISAAW and all esteemed panelists to take time out on a Sunday evening. As an OBGYN, as a practicing OBGYN, we work very closely in a very close spaces, be it operating room, be it labor and delivery, and you are in that room for hours sometimes. So even though we had some, since February, I've been talking on my show as well as other TV shows about this COVID-19 or novel coronavirus. And we've been talking, but we didn't have a lot of information at that point, right? And even though we took our precautions, I did get it in early March, and I did suffer from COVID. Luckily for us, though, as an OBGYN, the disease has not impacted pregnant women as much as we would have anticipated, because they are immunocompromised, their immunity is down. So that has been a really good kind of observation, as well as people who are immunocompromised because of the medication or because of having, say, cancer, etc. They haven't been affected as much. What we have seen that high-risk population are definitely the elderly, definitely people with comorbidity. Obesity has come out to be one of the most important kind of like a marker where people have had bad outcomes due to COVID and obesity. Hypertension, diabetes, these are some of the kind of risk factors. And we as a South Asians, we have a really high incidences of diabetes, about high blood pressure, cardiovascular risk factors, obesity, etc. So we as the South Asians, that's why we are a little bit at a higher risk of COVID because of this risk and comorbidities that I mentioned. Apart from that, a lot of us are still in a very joint family module, right? And that's why the South Asians come out to be a little bit different, because we are living with our elderly people, our elderly folks, younger 2-3 generations staying together, two brothers along with their kids and their parents living together. So we still have that joint family module, even in United States, where compared to the other ethnicity where the parents live alone or the parents are in nursing home or long-term care, we Indian South Asians, we tend to keep our elderlies in our home. So that puts a big challenge to COVID. So these are the few factors for South Asians that we should keep in mind: comorbidities, the family structures, as well as the other factors which makes it at higher risk. So I'll touch upon the other things as we go along, but those were the few highlights as a clinician that I wanted to make sure that our listeners, our viewers are getting that kind of important, as well as the policymakers, because we are slightly different than the regular folks. So there is this family dilemma, the social dilemma, they have to take into consideration while they are making policies.
In this week with Padma Shri Dr. Sudhir Parikh, we get the opportunity of sitting with someone who has seen world up and close. He has been a champion for strong relationship between USA and India. So today we will have something about President Trump's returning back to White House after being in hospital for COVID-19. And we also talked to him about AIMS report in reference to actor Sushant Singh Rajput's suicide or murder case. Now there is a sense of impatience in people for obvious reasons. They want to socialize, they want to go back to their work, and the process of opening up has also begun. So it is becoming even more difficult. When it was complete lockdown, then the scene was different. So what additional caution you may offer for our viewers?
No, I think it's a very simple thing that what you are saying is not a good excuse, because everyone has to act responsible way for their own safety and safety of others. So I have seen myself when you go to the gathering, even there are 10 people in the gathering, and after a while they forget that because they think that these are our friends, so we are safe, but it's not so. As you can see, what happened in the White House, that Rose Garden ceremony, even a couple of senators got the positive, COVID positive, president got COVID positive. So because they are my friends, I know them, so that's why they cannot be COVID, cannot be infective, and that's not true. So there is no other way to avoid this thing. Even if you are bored, if you go to work or you are going out socially, make sure that you wear the mask, you stay away from the people at least some distance, and make sure that you do not go into the crowded place. And if you think that your surrounding people are not behaving responsible, you must walk out from that.
So that one should pay attention to. I think this is very important. If you don't feel comfortable being surrounded by many people, and if there is no social distance observed, then it is better to walk away. But Dr. many times because of the protocol of the role that you have, let us talk about White House. And now, first, about the symptoms that might have affected President Trump. Would they be different than if someone has more impact of COVID? How medically you would differentiate the extent to which one is affected by COVID?
I mean, you cannot figure it out who has COVID, right? So, because a lot of COVID patients could be asymptomatic. So there is no symptoms.
Correct.
And they are not suffering, or they feel good and normal. So that's why it is very imperative that when you meet people in the crowd, you must wear the mask, which protects yourself as well as protects other people, and keep the distance. So that's the only way to do it. Now, even if you are exposed to the COVID patients or COVID infected person, not necessary that you will get the COVID, because it all depends upon your individual immunity. So if you are lucky and if your immunity is good enough, you may not get infection. But if your immunity is not good enough, then you may get infection. And as you can see that, example of the Rose Garden, there were 200 people were there and 10 people got the COVID. So not everyone got COVID. Vice President didn't get COVID, or that Justice Amy did not get the positive infection. So it varies. It varies. You can't, and there's no way to predict that.
Absolutely. And now from hospital, President Trump addressed, and while he was on his way back to White House, he also tweeted saying that there is no need to be scared of COVID, something like that. And he said under Trump administration, we have developed new drugs and things like that. So what do you think about these claims? And when you say don't be afraid of COVID as president, how one should translate that into one's practice?
I think if I heard correctly, what certain media is kind of saying is they are using the half sentence. It means what he said is that you should not be afraid of COVID, and COVID should not dominate your day-to-day life.
Correct.
But you should behave safely. See that sentence. Most of the media, those who are not in his favor, are skipping that sentence. So if they are talking out of context. So what he's saying is really that he's not saying that you don't scare of the COVID, or you should not worry about COVID. What he's saying is that you should worry about COVID. You act safely, you behave safely, but make sure your day-to-day life should not be dominated or overwhelmed by COVID, thought of the COVID.
So spirit should be such that you don't just feel low, etc. So I would look at it more like inspiring kind of a message than a medical.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, he's a leader. So he has to inspire the people and tell them that, of course, I think he definitely said that you have to act safely. And that was in context of that sentence. The second sentence was that. But people are picking up the out of context part of the sentence. So that's why it sounds horrible.
So I'm glad you saw the spirit behind this tweet. And now people are also criticizing the decision of his coming back to White House. Though physicians...
that is again because we don't know the real medical story or detail of the story. And as long as him and his doctor agreed to let him go, that is good enough in a sense, because you cannot second guess the doctor who is treating him and that doctor's judgment and decision.
Absolutely.
And then most likely he had a very mild COVID. That is my guess. It might COVID, but because he is the president of USA, they gave him all the available experimental and non-experimental treatment just to be on safe side. And the fact that he only required, what I understand from the media thing, that he required only Friday some oxygen, and that is normal. When anyone who has COVID and gets even fever or even mild COVID, they do get little lack of oxygenation, so they do need some short-term oxygen treatment. That doesn't mean that he was, and the fact that he came out and he looks now kind of okay, that shows that it was mild COVID, and it was treated. And so this kind of COVID, probably you and me could have stayed home and would have got better even.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. So I think this is all politics and media hype on either side, both sides.
Absolutely. So now it is increasingly becoming more complicated due to political interest to go through the maze of developments and get to the truth. That is happening in several cases in India as well. But staying with USA and talking about the next presidential debate, which schedule is 15th October, probably at Miami, and President Trump says that he's going to be there. What is your gut feeling? Is it going to take place, or they would create some situation whereby, looking at his affected COVID recent development, there might be some change?
No, I think by then it will be 14 days plus. So, because I'm sure he got infected last Thursday or Wednesday. We don't know exactly, but one of those 2 days. So, I think by 15th, which is Wednesday next week, 14 days are done. So, after 14 days, he's not infective to anybody. So, I think the debate can happen if they want to do the debate.
We look forward to that debate and think people do get some idea about their next choice through these debates, whether they totally change their views or not, yet that clarity overall helps the process. Now, moving towards India, Dr. Saab, recently, as you have also monitored for last couple of months, after the suicide or murder of Sushant Singh Rajput, today the report from AIMS declares that there is no angle of murder and it was a suicide. Though there is one channel in India which has also released yesterday as expose one audio leak where the same doctor was referring to it as potential murder. How do you see these developments, especially coming from an organization like AIMS?
Well, I think what I understand, or I know, that AIMS has not released any report yet. I think only Dr. Sudhir Gupta has leaked the report. And that report says that his report is conclusive, suggesting the suicide theory. But there are a lot of questions because this doctor never went to the suicide site or murder site. He never talked to the doctors who did the postmortem. And I think a month ago, this same doctor told a different story that this is definitely, after looking at the postmortem and the deficit in the postmortem and the photograph, that there is definitely is a 200% murder. So we don't know why he changed his opinion in 2-3 weeks' time without going to the Mumbai by sitting in the Delhi. So that raises a question. And also his past history is also kind of controversial in few murder cases. So we don't know. And the fact that AIMS hospital itself, president of the AIM or chairman of the AIMS hospital did not do any press conference. Usually, if they have report conclusive, then they do the press conference. So they are keeping their distance away from this doctor. So we don't know. And I understand that even parliamentary board, which is chaired by Subramaniam Swamy, has summoned him for question answer about this flip-flop. So we don't know whether this report is true or not.
So actually what question came to me is based on something that recently came in Times of India, But again, as you said, there are a lot of varying views which are floating, including a tweet by CBI saying that CBI investigation related to the death of Sushant Singh Rajput is still continuing, and all the aspects are being looked meticulously. Spokesperson CBI. Now, in this context, based on what I just mentioned from Dr. Sudhir Gupta, Shiv Sena has already started demanding apology from other leaders and media members. This is going to continue. And as you were mentioning with respect to America, politics comes and takes away certain issues in different directions. We just have few minutes left. Do you see there is a way which can help to move past these controversies in more harmonious, logical, and reasonable manner?
I hope so, because if you don't do that, then if there's this kind of controversy from the institute like AIMS, really gives bad name to the AIMS, because then whom to trust, right?
Yeah.
So I think they should have, if post-mortem report is not conclusive, or they think that it was not conclusive, or there are too many holes in it, then they should have said that it is inconclusive, and CBI should continue its investigation. And in this kind of murder, this kind of suspicious death, usually when there is no clear postmortem, or postmortem was botched by someone before, or whatever, then usually this kind of case decided by the circumstantial evidences. So I think let's see what happens. But I think this kind of leak by chief of the postmortem department is not very good thing, because that creates the questions and controversy, and they loses their trust in the big institute.
Absolutely. And as you were mentioning in the previous show, that you have already taken advantage of the advanced ballot and you have voted already. So a proud American who has discharged his democratic responsibility and duty. As we conclude, I request you to say something to our viewers about the significance of voting and indeed staying safe. So your parting words from today's show.
Well, since the election is only 4 weeks away, so I urge each and every my American fellow citizens to go out and vote, either in person or by mail. And because voting is only, you get a chance every 4 years, and you must exercise that franchise. Now, as far as COVID is concerned, COVID is still here. It's not going to go away that soon. Vaccine is coming, but we don't know when. The newer treatment, medical treatment is also coming, but exactly we don't know when. So put the mask when you are in the public. Keep the personal hygiene as much as you can. Stay away, stay safe distance from the other people, and try not to attend any indoor gathering, because of the poor ventilation or whatever, or inadequate ventilation, it is unsafe to do that. So that's my suggestion to everyone. So we'll see you next week. God bless America. God bless India. And thank you very much. See you.
AAPI is an important organization, not only supporting Indian American physicians, but supporting the whole America in its own way. Compassionate activities of AAPI reaches India also. And AAPI is conscious of extending its light of recognition and encouragement where it is due. As you are aware, there are many Indian American doctors who have tirelessly worked in fighting this invisible enemy of COVID. We are still not far away from the COVID crisis. The struggle and the need to stay alert continues. Here are some glimpses from AAPI mini convention organized at Chicago, where Indian American doctors who have worked to fight pandemic were also honored.
Okay, good afternoon everyone. Again, I am the immediate past president of AAPI, president for 2019 and 20, and today we'll try to finish the last rituals of last year. That's the award ceremony in person, and as you know, we had last year was a very interesting year. It was a challenge, and AAPI stood the challenge test of times and did wonderfully. And we would like to, this whole movement of what AAPI achieved in the last 6 months or 3 months is amazing. It has put AAPI in every household in India and United States and globally, Britain, London, Australia, all over the world. So this could not have been possible without the support of the huge army of volunteers AAPI has. And we would like to recognize most of the volunteers and most of the leaders, most of the advisors, but it's very difficult because we have almost 100,000 Indian physicians, 14,000 are members. It's impossible in this time to bring their names, but we would like to honor as many as possible, and they will go through our routine chart. Initially, when we planned to do the whole convention, our goal was, ours is a sandwich generation. Dr. Arora, Dr. Medavaram, and Sudhakar, we combine, bridge between the senior generation and the younger second generation. So we are 1.5 generation, next generation, and we want to bring as many people as possible, but again we want to reach for the stars, but at the same time we want to stay on the ground.
Dr. Sudhir Parikh, publisher, India advocate, philanthropist and physician, and the sole Indian American recipient of 3 of the most prestigious awards. The Pravasi Bharatiya Samman is an award constituted by the Ministry of Overseas Indian Affairs to honor exemplary NRIs. Dr. Sudhir Parikh.
The Ellis Island Medal of Honor celebrates the richness and diversity of American life. 6 presidents, many senators, congressional representatives, and Nobel Prize winners are among the remarkable group of individuals who have received the Ellis Island Medal of Honor.
Padma Awards are India's highest civilian awards. The glittering ceremony was held at the Rashtrapati Bhavan in the presence of the President of India, Prime Minister, Vice President, and top dignitaries. The award was presented by President of India, Mrs. Pratibha Patil.
Dr. Sudhir M. Parikh, Samajik Karya.
Dr. Sudhir Parikh, internationally acclaimed physician, publisher, India advocate, and philanthropist. Dr. Sudhir Parikh not only preserved Indian culture and traditions on a foreign soil, but also helped strengthen relations between India and the United States with his established alliance on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C. Dr. Parikh makes history, attaining the 3 highest honors in the United States and India. He has created a legacy in the community for his multitude of recognitions and lifetime of...
The Sudhir Parikh couldn't be here, and we thank him for the support, and we'll mail him his plaque.
Good morning. Hi, my name is Dr. Sudhakar Jonnalagadda, President of National AAPI. Today we are here in Chicago. We are doing our mini convention, since you all know that because of the pandemic, our AAPI annual 37th convention has been cancelled. So we are doing a small mini convention today, and about 100 people are attending, and we just finished our CME session today. And we're going to have awards distribution this afternoon, and evening we have entertainment. And most important thing, we are all, because of the current pandemic, we're all together and we're working hard as the frontline physicians and protect our community and protect ourselves. And I'm sure this pandemic will be over soon, and definitely we'll get some medications, vaccines soon, which will be able to cure this dreaded virus. Again, I wish you all well, stay safe. Remember, 3 things: mask, social distance, and hand washing. This is most important than treatment. Thank you.
Namaste, I'm Girish Thakar from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, as well as Clearwater, Florida. Thanks to Dr. Sudhir Parikh, we have been getting a chance to be in front of the audience throughout the US. This is a great honor and pleasure to be at the AAPI mini convention, and a first baby step in terms of the situation that we are all facing with the COVID. Thanks to the executive committee of AAPI as well as the board of trustees, they have taken this large step to organize a mini convention in spite of the COVID pandemic. I look forward to meeting several of AAPI colleagues as well as members here, and look forward to be participating in the future conventions. Thank you for invitation, and thanks Dr. Sudhir Parikh and all the team members.
Yeah, this is a mini AAPI convention because of the pandemic that is going on, especially the COVID-19 has been having a problem with most of the get-togethers. So that's why we need to do more of a smaller group, and also we need to make sure everybody wear masks and keeping the distance, etc. We shall continue following until the pandemic is over. So at least in the unusual times, I think this mini convention will be nice to have, so that at least we can present our views and the thoughts to the group and to the world what we are doing here.
Hi, I'm Padma Aditi. I'm here to attend AAPI mini convention, especially during these times of COVID pandemic, and we couldn't attend the usual celebration of the change of God. Now with this modern facilities or modern thinking of arranging in these programs, few of us were able to attend this mini convention, and I'm here to participate in it. I guess we got to be ready for all these newly happening pandemics and infection, all these issues. So I am really enjoying. We had a CME this morning, and tonight there's going to be a gala, a little bit of relaxation and catching up with the friends.
Hello everyone, I am Dr. Meher Medavaram. I'm the convention chair for the AAPI convention for year 2020. It is really wonderful to have everybody come in for the convention. This was originally planned for June 2020, but because of the COVID situation, we had to cancel it, and we were doing this only because we would like to recognize all the doctors who are hard work throughout the year, and also really a tribute to several of the physicians who have really fallen ill but are recovering, and some we lost. So this is a great tribute, and we would like to recognize each and every one. That is the reason for our convention. In spite of all the odds, we are following the guidelines of CDC, which is only 100 people. So the event is attended by about 100 physicians, and we are done an extremely well recognized attended event this time, following all the CDC guidelines to recognize the physicians. So I'm really honored and grateful to be the convention chair for this year, and also really applaud for everyone's volunteer work, physicians, healthcare workers and everything for this COVID pandemic, the way we are conducting, and we wish that pandemics be over soon. But again, a salute to all the healthcare workers and all the frontline workers. Thank you.
As you can see today, most of you know he was elected in November 2016 to represent the 8th District of Illinois, which includes the West and Northeast suburbs of Chicago. He serves on the Oversight Committee, for which he's also the chairman of the subcommittee on Economic and Consumer Policy, as well as on the House Intelligence Committee. In addition to this committee work, Raja was elected as the Assistant Whip and serves on the Steering and Policy Committee. His policy platform focuses on growing and strengthening the middle class by supporting small businesses, rebuilding the infrastructure of Chicago, and protecting Social Security and Medicare. Raja is the child of immigrants and was reared here in Peoria, Illinois. It is my pleasure to introduce Congressman Raja Krishnamurthy, who him and his wife, Priya, who's also a physician, they live here in Schaumburg with their 3 kids. Please welcome Raja Krishnamurthy.
Namaste. Welcome to Schaumburg, Illinois. Now, I see that you are among the best doctors in America. You have come to the best congressional district in America, namely mine. Welcome. I'm so honored you're here. I'm so honored to be able to address you for a couple minutes of your precious time. I want to observe those 3 rules of public speaking. Be short, be sweet, and be gone. So I only have 3 points I want to make. First point, can you give a big round of applause to Suresh, Seema, Sudhakar, Sajani, Anupama, Ravi, and Meher for their leadership of AAPI, and especially tonight's mini convention. This is really outstanding, Suresh and Meher. You know, it's a little breezy, but you've come to the Windy City. And so it's only appropriate, and with the current situation as it is, we are providing a little extra airflow to make sure we get through tonight safely. But thank you so much for coming and gracing us with your presence. I want to turn to my next point, which is, I just want to say thank you. Thank you to each and every one of you for everything that you do every day for your patients, for your communities, your families, and your country. You really are the best of America. And you are the reason why someone like myself can be in the United States Congress. You know, I've mentioned this anecdote before, but folks like you had to overcome a lot to arrive where you are now. Not only that, but as part of AAPI, you've done so much. As the Vice President mentioned, you represent 100,000 Indian physicians, Indian American physicians. On top of that, you've done so much community service. And during this pandemic, your true colors have shown. Even to the point of putting your own lives at risk. And so our thoughts go out to all those physicians, including yourselves, who are on the front lines taking care of people during this pandemic. As was mentioned, my wife is an anesthesiologist. The joke is that we both put people to sleep. She's a life member of AAPI. My brother is too. And so we are proud to be part of the family of AAPI. So thank you for that.
We are celebrating our annual mini convention. It was supposed to be celebrated in June, but because of the COVID pandemic lockdowns, we had to postpone it to September. On behalf of all AAPI, myself, Dr. Reddy, President, and the ECBOT, I would like to thank everyone.
And again, I thank you all the members of their support during my presidency, and best wishes to ITV. Thank you.
It's what?
So,
thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hello everyone, I am Dr. Meher Medavaram. I'm the convention chair for the AAPI convention for year 2020. It is really wonderful to have everybody come in for the convention.
Come now, follow my lead. Come now, follow my lead.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Sudhir Parikh Media, and great leader of AAPI and GAPIO, who has been a phenomenal support for all of us and a role model for all of us young leaders. We are following in your footsteps and bringing our AAPI into the forefront through your media presence, as well as various encouraging projects you are taking all over the country, across the globe as well. Thank you, Dr. Sudhir Parikh again. So I'm Dr. Ravi Kohli. I'm the Vice President of AAPI. And we just concluded our mini convention in Chicago and the governing body meeting. We had a fruitful and very meaningful discussions here today. And we have come to many good understandings of projects and programs and improvement that we can implement. And all the congeniality and camaraderie felt very much. So please support us and please join us wherever and whenever we have our next event. And again, Dr. Ravi Kohli, Vice President of AAPI. Thank you very much for your support.
You're watching Vision of Asia, Voice of the Community on ITV Gold. This program comes to you every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursdays at 8 p.m. And a weekly edition of Vision of Asia is presented with a lot of love for you on ITV Gold every Sunday at 11 a.m. And we appreciate, as always, your support, your love, and with a request to stay with us. We'll be right back after these short messages. Sadhguru has a unique way of sharing important, profound, philosophical and spiritual message and articulate them in a language which speaks to the heart of modern mind. Sadhguru is a very different kind of a mystic who is not always seen in the saffron robe, who also enjoys riding motorcycle. And now there is a new adventurous journey of Sadhguru which is catching attention of one and all, where he is connecting ancient wisdom to the native culture of America on motorcycle with Sadhguru in this special segment, thanks to the team of Isha Foundation.
They have been living in this land for anywhere between 10 to 40,000 years.
I can see his spirit, it's very strong.
For over 5,000 years, a city with a whole elaborate spiritual and religious processes and rituals existed. Be with us. Ride with me. We are here right now at Bear Butte, Black Hills. This region is sacred for the Lakota nation. Crazy Horse, one of the most well-known and quite a remarkable leader of the Lakotas, his father received his vision here at the Bear Butte.
This gift that I'm going to present to my friends is not coming from me. It's coming from this mountain, from the Creator. These are the most sacred to us, the most sacred. And the prayer that is with us, to be with you on your journey. Whenever you leave home, they're going to take care of you, be with you. Whatever you ask for, that will come to be. Oye makiayo, che makiayo, oye makiayo, che makiayo, It was really beautiful. It was like him and I was walking on them clouds and we flew into each other. Very powerful. And I could see his spirit. It's very strong. And I hope he prays for us too. It was awesome, beautiful. That's why I said I hope to see him again someday. Thank him for coming here. The things we shared, we talked about, now he knows me better. And maybe our visions will come together someday.
In this Lakota country right now, it is very, very eye-opening to see how they were fond of Mother Earth, how they structured their life around that, and how they lived in tune with nature, with absolute passion for everything around them and a certain sense of dispassion about their own life, about their own death. I think there is a lot that modern societies need to pick up from ancient societies, because there was a certain cohesiveness with life around them. Without that cohesiveness, everything seems to be a problem.
Home is an important place where we live and where we have to move. Many times it is not our own decision. Circumstances make us adopt a new land, a new place, and issue of asylum and resettlement has been an important issue. Aditi Lamba participated in a conversation which dealt with this issue. Here are some highlights from that Newsmaker series.
Graduate School of Journalism at CUNY in New York. Thanks for joining us. I welcome you all to today's very important panel. Our Executive Director, Graciela Moshkovsky, wished to join us as well, but she cannot because of some last-minute changes in her schedule. She has sent her apologies and a very warm welcome to you all. Before I request today's moderator and senior journalist, Rong Xiao Cheng, who is associated with the Tsingtao Daily in New York, to formally introduce the guests, I wish to thank Rong, Nisha Agarwal and her team from the International Refugee Assistance Project for joining the panel. We are recording the proceedings and will share with you the link once it's available.
Everyone, I'm Aditi Lamba from ITV Gold. I think the first question was actually answered really well by both of the individuals. My next question would be, who are the most vulnerable communities seeking asylum right now? And if I was to ask you what is the greatest need of the hour there, what would you say?
So I don't want to rank, to be honest, and others can chime in, but I don't want to rank different people based on their vulnerability. People, again, that apply for asylum, they're in the United States. They've generally already fled from persecution. Many of them have suffered past persecution. And I mean, I don't think we can really say who's of greater need, someone who's lost their father or someone who's lost their mother, someone who's lost their arm or someone who's lost their leg. I think it's fair to say that we can look at some of the larger streams of population. So over the last 5 years, for example, in the affirmative asylum backlog, Venezuelans fleeing the crisis in Venezuela have made a huge percentage of the pending cases in the United States. On the flip side, in the refugee pipeline, as Rayad mentioned, you see people fleeing the Syrian refugee crisis or the Syrian crisis as some of the largest numbers of refugees in the world. So those are kind of like the larger numbers. But I would say generally you see in terms of vulnerability, this is a little bit separate from your question, but you have a question. I think someone else asked a question of different things that I think you asked this on different ways that the administration is restricting access to asylum. And one of the things that they're doing is that folks that are in the United States along the border who request asylum, they're sending them back to Mexico to wait for months or years in Mexico. So along the US-Mexico border, you'll see thousands of very vulnerable people who have fled persecution, who are now living in what is basically a refugee camp along the Mexico border that is also a different sort of vulnerability. But of course, I'm going to pass it on to Rayad. Maybe you can talk a little bit about what you're seeing in terms of the needs of refugees in Jordan, for example.
So there are many needs for the refugees in Jordan, but I'll try to keep it brief by mentioning what I feel like is the most necessary at the moment, which is, in my view, more resettlement slots. I think there are a lot of vulnerable people who are not being considered for resettlement just because there aren't enough slots, even though they should be considered for resettlement. They are vulnerable and they do need to be resettled. Another thing that I feel like is also quite essential currently for asylum seekers in Jordan is the fact that a lot of them do day labor, as I mentioned before, and a lot of this work has been denied or let's say closed down due to COVID. So I've seen a lot of refugees facing financial difficulties and unable to get their basic necessities, food, rent, and like the base necessities. So for the time being, I feel like there should be more financial support just for them to support them through this crisis. And more, let's say, short and long term, there should be more resettlement slots.
Time to say goodbye from today's Vision of Asia. But before we go, here is a gentle reminder. If you are still not friends of ITV Gold Facebook page, now is the time. Also, subscribe our YouTube channel and keep writing to us, events@itvgold.com. Take care, stay healthy, stay well. Thanks for being a part of Vision of Asia Voice of Community on ITV Gold. This is Ashok Vyas. Namaste.